participation. But on the other hand, you have mothers drowning their children in bathtubs, or throwing them from bridges, or sawing their arms off. This is somebody whose mind has been completely taken over.
So you say reptilians love making the victims terrified. Why?
Because they ingest that energy. It's loosh.
They absorb the fear, energy of fear. And reptilians are very aggressive and threatening, and they use rape, and they're geneticists and mind manipulators. How is it they've been able to become so adept at so many different things to be so effectual over human beings?
We're their life. They have no life without us. We're everything to them. They consider it's their survival. It's for their survival. We are it for them. They have no life without us. That's why they're so terrified of what's coming. Because everything that they gain and everything that they do, we're their drug, their food, their pleasure, their energy. They have nothing without the humans. So this is we're screwing around with us is their life.
Are reptilians telepathic?
Some of them are, but not all of them.
Are they interdimensional? I mean,
yes.
Would you call them interdimensional?
They are interdimensional.
You also mentioned at one point that it appears to you that it might be possible that they can revivify dead, deceased human bodies.
I know they can.
Why?
They do
How?
that. Because they...
How do you know that?
Well, because I've heard them talk about it in reverse. They talk about, you'll never know the body counts. Like, that's why they sealed body bags of some of the soldiers. And I know from a woman who I was friends with for a while who was having all these problems, and it turns out that her father died. And she told me in reverse that they shocked him back and heated him back up. And by this time they had inserted an alien within him. And she was always afraid of her father. And it was a very difficult relationship. But they use and revivify dead people. If they're not too bad, they can bring them back. They prefer that to cloning, I believe. I think clones fall apart too easily. Clones don't seem to hold up. Yeah.
It's the undead.
Now let's talk about the religious involvement here. Religions, you say, were set up to give us a reason to fight, and the reptilians have created this sinner mentality. Mm-hmm. And why did they do that?
Well, because it gives them an excuse to punish, torture, and they use the idea of well, it's like the people who they send into the lower astral. They were convinced that they were sinners, and that's why they're there, and that's why they're getting this bad treatment.
So does a person's belief system upon their death play a role in where they end up after?
Yes, I believe that's true.
And so if they program us to have a certain belief structure, and they believe that they're sinners and they're not worthy, they're going to end up in the lower astral and end up being food for the reptilians.
I think that's how it works, yes.
How is that? You say the Catholic Church is heavily infested with reptilians, mm-hmm. and the Catholic Church agenda and the reptilian agenda coincide, and that pedophilia is part of that whole scenario too.
Correct, yes.
Elaborate more on the Catholic Church's involvement.
Well, I think when you have a power structure that controls huge masses of people, that's a reptilian agenda there, whether it's government or religious. Now you've got, the Catholic Church controls the lives of many, many people, but also can set up the sin, hell, purgatory scenarios, so that then, if you are a sinner and you die, then okay, you expect that you're going to suffer, and they're glad to help you out with that. They also, again, I think with the priests and all, they are, a lot of them are seeded, and then that's where pedophilia and child abuse and all those things come into play.
Are you familiar with Salvador Fresedo, the Jesuit priest who showed up at the first UFO Congress that Wendell held here in Tucson? Well, Salvador Freixedo spoke at the Congress, and he said that there was a race of beings that a race of ETs that lived off of our blood, and that used Colosseum events to suck out energy out of people. That they were involved with the Aztecs and the Mayas, and that the sacrifices that were made there were also to feed these ET beings.
Absolutely.
Does that sound
All
like
part of the same thing.
Now this is the wave pattern, and I'm speaking in forward here. I don't even remember, to tell you the truth, what I'm saying. But when you get to this area right here, you'll hear EVP, which is for somebody saying God is Hitler. So here we go.
With good news, and I have with
God is Hitler. So that was pretty
yeah,
clear.
that very clearly? Yeah.
Yeah, but I wanted to say that.
Yeah.
So the way it works is like there's the person actually speaking, you're actually looking at their recorded speech, but then someone, something from elsewhere is also putting their 2 cents worth
Right.
into the.
Yeah, that.
Or maybe not. Maybe it'll be.
Maybe it will be just as physical as this.
Nick, what do you think about Peggy's research?
I think it has a lot of validity. Unfortunately, it's sort of subjective. Peggy spent thousands of hours listening, so you have to give her credit for what she's done. Yeah, no, it's there. There's too many people in reverse speech saying the similar things. As far as the exact details, I think that's open. But I think it's a potential science that by the time people figure it out, it's probably going to be too late.
Right.
Well, other people.
So it's a science of the last days.
Yeah,
I guess you could say that.
Or the science preceding the new days.
The humans, most of the humans are of no threat to them. The humans, for the most part, they see as retarded, and they just see them as food. They're just like hamburger. That's what they call
They're
them.
just cattle on the hook.
Cattle, sheep, cattle. Now the Pleiadians who got stuck here, that's a different story. They know that we're all trying to wake up. We're the ones who are doing this on these websites, trying to figure things out. Even if they get channeled into something very religious, it's usually just always trying to question what is going on here. Whereas other people just, they're at the ball game or the mall or whatever.
It's just like in the Matrix. It's just like Morpheus trying to explain the Matrix to Neo, right? It's like most people, this is a prison, and most people don't realize it, right?
Yeah.
But it's like there's some of us that it's like a splinter in the mind. You know that something's wrong here. Something doesn't work about this place.
Yeah. That's
And
it.
so we're always trying to figure out what is it, and that leads us into
It's
UFO
very much like the Matrix.
research, and
It is the
It is the
Matrix.
Matrix. Yeah.
Well, we surfing doing that night. I was in the morning, I will go eat everything. I know what this all is. Hey, hello. I know the light in the heat moves her out first. And the rest of off the wall. I gotta be careful. Right on the world. Hurry, look, you got. I got you for fish. Yeah, we there. Wait, the night on the side. Now, first time it's years. I guess, well. Yes, and that's how bereavement's getting out. Taking all the con cigarette. You feel great, Peggy. Yeah. When you say this,